And here we are at this most momentous occasion. As we have before, a large contingency of individuals at this one point. As we look to our left, we can clearly see a maniac who has colored his face with all sorts of colors, as well as tying tassels to his arms that would most likely cut off the flow of blood to his brain. And you can even hear him talk over the side. He would say something like,
"Load the spaceship with the rocket fuel, load it with the warriors."
And as we move on, just behind him, we can find there a man better known as Booker T. And he has his catchphrase,
"Can you dig it, sucker?"
And even a little further to the side, you will find a man with a guitar. And he would usually say he is the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. That would be the Honky Tonk Man. And then we move a little more to the center, and we find a man with a microphone, with a large gold belt that was only given to him basically for marrying the daughter of the boss of the company. But he will tell you something else, but we will always remember him as Mr. Stephanie McMahon. Then we move on a little to the other side. We find a man with a green cap, and he would usually have said in the past something like word life, and after that something about loyalty and respect, yet beating his opponents up with no remorse. And then a little on, we would find a man that has changed from wrestling into a yoga empire that was usually referring to something called a diamond, but that looked more like something else when he held his hands up into the air. Then we get what we basically have, a man that should not be alive, but he is. And he continues to stuff people into the ground and telling them to rest in peace. From that point on, we move to what is possibly his brother. And his brother that was burned by his brother came back for revenge and for some silly reason decided afterwards to team up with his brother. So that is either pro wrestling or Days of Our Lives. Then, just a little behind him, another man with a bald head that was at one point so high on painkillers he could barely walk. That is not what you expect from a great hero of wrestling. Further, we look to a man here on the far side with a nice, beautiful red cape. He would, however, later turn from that heel character to a more famous Hulk Hogan, a man that is revered by most people in America, that being Republicans. Very sad that it's only Republicans. Then we move a little bit back and we find a man that has painted his face red, black, and yellow. And he usually comes into the ring smashing a clock over his head. To this day, I have no idea why. Could it be some sadomasochistic practice he's doing? I don't know. From there, we look a little back and we find a man not much of a standout, but whose name is Ken Shamrock, once referred to as the world's most dangerous man. Now, why is he that? Because he is known in another sport, namely martial arts, for submitting a lot of people and beating them down with an impressive physique. From there, we move on to this man. Bit of a pudgy type figure, but with the most insane marks in his head that he can even put coins in, and it would stand in place. Why? Because he is what we would refer to a crazy person for doing hardcore matches all his life. That would be Abdullah the Butcher. Then, little in the back, we find a man brandishing a Singapore cane for some reason, because that has become most of his gimmick, besides drinking all the way to the ring and then drinking all the way on his way home. Now, we move to possibly one of the craziest looking people. We have in the back here an Argentinian known as Giant Gonzalez, standing approximately 7'5", with an outfit that makes him look like a caveman. But when you look more to the side of the groin, it looks like something you cannot show to children in the early 90s, or children at any point of time. From there, we would look at what is possibly a savage who have painted his face in the most strange of colors and the most strange of marks. He goes by Omaga, and he was the Samoan bulldozer. But he was in fact a literate man that could speak and doesn't eat only chicken. Now that was just a highlight of what I wanted to show you today. But we will look at many more figures in this strangest of places, the World Wrestling Nation. This was Andre from Wrestle to the Top. Goodbye.